Welcome everybody to the Wake Up Call channel. I'm not really going to hold back anymore on the content that I put out on YouTube or wherever else it is other than the website. Sometimes I hold back and refrain because you know it's going to get flagged and get a strike, but I'm kind of in a mood where I really don't give a flying you know what. So I want to talk out in the open on a public forum about the cancer vaccine. There's lots of stories I've been covering on the website for people to keep an eye on in regards to these personalized cancer vaccines. It's very important. Now, it's a genius plan by the government, of course. They spray us with chemicals. They put chemicals in our food, dump aluminum on us every day, and bury them. And people start getting cancer at unbelievably astronomical rates. Of course, then we know from there that most people just injected themselves with cancer. So we see cancer growing at an unbelievable rate. Everybody knows somebody who has had cancer or likely died of cancer. So if their goal is to get gene editing inside of you, right, it would make more sense to start telling people that they can treat and cure cancer with a cancer vaccine, right? Makes perfect sense. So little by little, these stories have been coming out. And I talked about how Kate Middleton was going to be perfectly used for eventually, after time of ups and downs, of a roller coaster ride, of is Kate getting better, is Kate not getting better? What's happening with Kate, right? Kate's not showing up at big events and people are just, oh no, Kate's not showing up. And then suddenly, without any hope, the cancer vaccine arrives for people to publicly try, and Kate will be the perfect one to push out. She'll take it. We'll see, oh, is it working? Is it not? And Kate is miraculously cured. That's where I believe it's going, and Kate's the perfect one to use. A princess, right? Ties in with the CIA's princess programming that they've put out over the years. If you don't know what that is, just think about how many movies you've seen and how many little girls want to be princesses, right? Well, that'll work out perfectly because it seems like no matter what political affiliation you have, Republican, Democrat, everybody loves the princess, right? So it works perfectly when the princess is miraculously cured and people aren't paying attention to that thing called M.R.N.A. So story after story after story every single day is coming out and no one's paying attention to it about how there is going to be a treatment for cancer and now the trials are underway. And of course, even Forbes just put out an article talking about how the personalized M.R.N.A. vaccine has promising results. And even The Guardian putting this article out, off the charts. The key breakthroughs giving new hope in treating cancer. Now, I've talked about the goal. The goal is they are hell-bent. You can see how obsessive they are with editing a human being's genetic structure, right? God gave us all our own unique DNA. They want to change that and manipulate that. That's what this is. So people need to willingly participate in this experiment. Now, they didn't get the results they wanted last time around. They got pretty good results. They were able to deceive and trick many, many dumb people, but they didn't get the overall results that they hope. It has to be in more people. More people need to have their genetic code modified for this experiment to work. So cancer is the perfect thing to use. So here's a story here. This just came out. The 2024 American Society of Clinical Oncology had their annual meeting, the world's largest cancer conference. Doctors, scientists, and researchers shared new findings on ways to tackle the disease. The event in Chicago, attended by 44,000 health professionals, I'm shocked it wasn't 33,000, featured more than 200 sessions focused on this year's theme, the art and science of cancer care, from comfort to cure. Here is a roundup of the key studies. NHS launches the world's first cancer vaccine trial scheme. And it really is a scheme, but they really should just use the word scam. So after decades in development, cancer vaccines are finally now, conveniently, showing signs of potentially working to help patients fend off the disease for good. The world's first personalized M.R.N.A. cancer vaccine for melanoma shows the risk of patients dying of the disease returning cut in half, according to trial results that doctors described as extremely impressive. Patients who received the vaccine after having a stage 3 or 4 melanoma removed had a 49% lower risk of dying of the disease recurring after 3 years, data presented at the conference showed. A second trial found cancer vaccines can significantly improve survival for breast cancer patients after surgery. Meanwhile, with more vaccine trials launching globally, the NHS announced that thousands of patients in England will be fast-tracked into the studies as part of a world-first matchmaking scheme called the Cancer Vaccine Launchpad. Under the scheme, patients will gain immediate access to clinical trials for vaccines that experts say represent a new dawn of treatments for cancer. See, so many people are so distracted with so much nonsense that they don't realize how, if you look at it from the perspective, the government wants to get this at you, right? We talked about the nanotech for a long time, right? We saw the rollout of that experiment done. And now just conveniently, at the same time, all of a sudden, after all these years, never explaining why everybody was getting cancer, now there's hope that this could be the cure. Now, this will obviously not be the cure. The way to stop cancer would be to stop dumping chemicals in us or stop injecting children at a young age with these things or adults who go and get their flu. There'd be a lot of ways you could stop it, right? But we could just start with, taking an aluminum bath every day that we all unfortunately are forced into because we don't really have a choice because apparently our government has been given carte blanche over the air and they're allowed to just dump chemicals on us and tell us that it's water vapor. So that would really be the first thing you would want people to do is say, why do so many people have cancer? But nobody does that, right? But since it's something that is significant in a lot of people's lives, not only will people line up to get this at first to cure, hopefully, what they have, they will start rolling this out because the goal isn't to cure it because they don't want to cure anybody of anything. The goal is to edit your genes, right? But people who already have cancer are not going to miraculously be cured from this vaccine. What they need to do is convince you that they're curing it and then that they can prevent it. So you can get your preventative vax. They'll go whatever route they need to go to convince people to go and get mRNA inside their bodies. Remember, it changes you. So these are the ones they're talking about, right? These are very common ones. Breast cancer, okay, melanoma, skin cancer. Now they're talking about Hodgkin lymphoma cured more effectively with a treatment mix. This goes into it's the same stuff, right? You read this and it sounds like it's science and it's above okay, this has to be real, right? Because they put statistics in there, right? After 4 years, progression-free survival, the amount of time patients live without the disease growing or spreading was 94.3%. People are just like, okay. Overall survival, which indicates how many patients are alive after treatment, is 98.5%. And again, they put these, data points out there. It makes it seem like it's more realistic. It doesn't, this is all that people need to hear is about, okay, breast cancer, melanoma cancer, test predict prostate cancer, could be the next one that's more accurately cured. And they go on and on and on. And so people just start thinking to themselves about, well, if they're in a situation where they have cancer, then they're going to run and go get this. But what they need to do, and they will do, is eventually convince people to get a preventative shot beforehand to prevent it in the future. So you're going to see a massive psychological operation that's going to be done over the next couple of years with these trials at the same exact time as what is the other thing that we're hearing? The trials out in the open. What? Neuralink, right? So you have these stories here, then you have the Neuralink stories over there. Well, you also have stories about our food supply chain needing to get mRNA in it, right? Because all the stories I've covered about the bird flu, everybody's looking at the bird flu being the next pandemic. Everyone's going, we're going to get locked down because of they're going to make a mandate to get this cure of mRNA inside the food supply chain. They're going to get it in cows. They're going to get it in chickens, which means with CRISPR, like I had mentioned, if you're not familiar, you're new to the channel, okay, it will spread from the chicken to the egg to you. It's transferable, right? It's another means for them to get you edited. So most people out there can't really get past that point. I think a lot of people look at it and they just say, well, they're trying to kill us and depopulate us and poison us. And of course, that is what they're doing. But they're also trying to get this to take inside of people. They want nanotech inside of you. They want to gene edit you. I mean, it's a very, this is very deep. It's deeper than just saying, people, they want to get the population down. They want to do this. They want to do more than just that, right? They're trying to mix iron and clay here. They're trying to mix man and machine without humans actually knowing what they're doing. Now, sooner or later, people are going to willingly do this when Neuralink is out and you can publicly go and get Neuralink put inside you. But for the time being, the experiments that they're running on a mass scale. They're seeing how it's taking in people, how many people are, hooking up to Bluetooth, how many people, are listening to and being compliant to getting their next dosages. So it's a mass data experiment that we're in the middle of right now. It's live, it's happening, it's recurring, right? Then, of course, we know that they're filtering and they're putting this into other potions out there, which is why even over on the website, over the last couple of years, a lot of us have talked about mothers on the website have talked about having children and any of the potions at birth. And obviously, I don't recommend that. Now, you could do whatever you please, but I don't, them announcing that it's mRNA isn't really necessary because they'll just shove it in everything at this point, in my opinion. So obviously, you don't want to get these in your kids' mRNA or not at any point with obviously what we've seen from the government's behavior, what we know of what the government's trying to do. And then again, this goes back to even before the outbreak. A lot of us, for years and years and years, a lot of us were anti-potion. I was just talking to somebody about it recently who, was potion, fell for the potion, got the potion. And a lot of us were talking about the potion like in the 2010s, not that specific one, but we're anti-vax, right? And from that point, most people out there, when you talk to them about it, were just like, oh, whatever, this guy's, who cares what he's saying? I don't go and get any of this stuff anyway, and whatever. Maybe they would go get their flu shot here and there. But after the outbreak, I think when they rolled it out, because they already had the data on how many people would openly talk on social media about being anti-vax, after they rolled it out, I don't think they expected so many people to kind of wake up and become anti-vax. So from that, what has occurred is a lot less people are getting shots for their kids now, even at birth, because of what they've done, because their behavior was so over the top. People were becoming suspicious because all of a sudden the government was going, hey, do you want a free gift card to Arby's for $100? Do you want to go to McDonald's? Do you want a lap dance? We'll give it to you. Just go and get it. People are going, wait a minute, what? What? You saw Fauci going door to door. You saw all this stuff, and people got suspicious because they were saying this is a little much. It's very pushy, right? And that helped people like me and you, that helped people like us. It helped our cause because people started going, all right, there's something to this. They're getting pushy. They're firing people from their jobs, right? They're telling you that they're the enemy of the state, anyone that doesn't get it, but the people who have it should be immune to it. So what does everybody who has it care if other people don't? That's their problem. If it was a real... So everybody started kind of going, all right. And it made people more pushy, standoffish. And then as the years have gone by since then, we've seen it decline, right? Nobody except for this small minority of suckers is going and getting it every couple of months or going and getting their flu version. But what we've actually seen is more and more people who would never in the past have refused to put anything in their children at birth are suddenly doing that because they started learning about this stuff. That after that, they were like, all right, let me see what this is about. They started learning about high rates of autism, all this other stuff. And then they, ended up having kids and they go, I don't want anything in my kids. Right. And I've talked to people who said even at the hospitals that the nurses and stuff make them sign waivers if they don't want to. And they're like, that's a little pushy. If I don't want to give my kid vitamin K, that was a debate over on the website. Oh, vitamin K. Oh, yeah. Well, why don't you just get the vitamin K from the feeds or the formula or the breast milk? Right. Oh, you can't think like that. You got to sign a waiver because you're refusing to give your kid vitamin K. It's incredible. It's incredible. You don't know what's in it. You're supposed to just willingly do it and trust in these people who you don't know and who clearly have shown you that they're psychotic. They're psychotic. The way that they behaved shows you that these people are what we've always said they are, psychopaths, right? They're obsessive. They're psychotic. They're pushy. They're demanding. All their science makes zero sense. And they backtrack on everything they say and are never held accountable. So this to me, and I've talked about this for a couple of years, and now we're seeing it out in the open. I knew it was headed in this direction. I talked about and showed Biden was talking about this pre his election, fake election, selection. And a lot of government officials have been talking about, we're going to cure it. We're going to cure it. We're going to cure it. Now, all of us know that there are cures for it. There's natural remedies. And of course, none of them ever get cancer. They all live to be 100. All these, Jimmy Carter, perfect example, had irreversible brain cancer, right? I always covered this like 6-7 years ago. Said he had weeks to live. Suddenly his grandson, just randomly dies out of nowhere. He shows up. He's like, my grandson's dead. He's still hanging in there 7 years later, 8 years later, Jimmy Carter with the irreversible brain cancer, right? Because, of course, gave his sacrifice there. Jimmy's cured, but he's still just now he's at the old age point where he has to leave his vessel and go into a new vessel. So they have the cure, but this is about getting the public on board. This is the perfect thing to use. This makes the most sense, right? Everybody knows somebody. Nobody's going to question if it's real or not, right? With COVID, people were questioning if it was real or not. What is it? I've never heard of it. A lot of people said, oh, whatever, I've never heard of it. Even if it is real, I'm not afraid of it because I never heard of it before. This, everybody knows somebody, everybody's affected by it. It's the perfect thing to use if you're, if you're gullible. Now, if you're somebody who ends up getting cancer, they'll look at it and you'll say, well, there's no other choice. I might as well try it. But the goal is to have a preventative one, to make it so you go and you every year you go get it and, oh, it's 80%, oh, it's 90%. You go, well, it's better than nothing. And these people will go and get it, and they'll see a higher success rate, I believe, with it. And the Kate Middleton story is a perfect one to follow because I believe that that's the whole point of the story of Kate Middleton. It's the perfect one to use. Everyone feels bad. She's young. She has kids. She's a quote-unquote princess, right? Nobody takes sides. It's not like a figure who's polarizing where you're like, I don't like them, right? The people out there, they get suckered into this stuff. Perfect one to use. Watch where that story goes. That's something I've been talking about for a while on the website. I wanted to cover it over here because I'm covering it on both. This is for the website and for wherever I decide to put it up on, on a public forum for people to hear. But just pay attention to it. I want everyone out there to think this way from the standpoint of just pay attention to it and understand what they're trying to do, right? And then think about how genius it is of these people. And genius, I say in a sinister sense, right? They created it. They have never told you why cancer's here, what it's from, right? You got, not to mention the 5G and the cell phones, which I didn't even get into, but, right, all the damage that they're doing to us. And then, of course, it's like problem, reaction, solution, right? Then they're going to come in with the cure for you, something you're so fearful of, and it's really what they've wanted to do to you from the get-go, which is edit your genetics. So keep an eye on the story. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always, and your families.